it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
There I am. Hello, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. It is New Year's Day, and I hope everybody had a fantastic night last night. I hope everybody has great, I suppose, hopes for the year 2025 on personal levels and also on an Aston Villa level. And, you know, I've been a small little bit, how would I say, I was a small bit, I'm not going to say distraught, but I was a bit frustrated after the last game against Brighton. And that's not me. I don't like being frustrated. I'm always glass half full as much as I possibly can be. So what better time than the 1st of January when the transfer window reopens again for me to start doing what I love doing probably more than anything else in the world. And that's looking at players and trying to see what I think of them. Sometimes the players that are linked, obviously, which there's one of them that we're going to talk about today. I don't think Villa have an ass's roar of a chance, is that even a phrase, of signing this guy, but we're going to discuss the transfer rumors anyway. I know a lot of people are going to say, how can Villa afford people? That ain't my job. That ain't your job. That ain't your job as a fan. That's Monchi's, that's Unai's, that's Chris Heck's job. Let them worry about where the money is coming from. Let them sell Louis Barry. Let them sell for the Jim Bades if they need to. We'll worry about trying to get players in, identify players coming in, and that's where the fun comes from. I don't know where we stand with regards to PSR. I don't know, but I can only imagine that Villa have had bumper income and revenues already this year. We've had highest shirt sales of all time for an Aston Villa shirt. We've had Champions League games. We've had Champions League wins. All that is money in the coffers so far. So, yes, we have a deficit that we have to overcome with the Jack Grealish money coming off. But I'm going to let them figure it out. And I'm going to continue having fun in my little fantasy world of whether we're going to sign players or not. And that's what we're going to take a look at today. So, look, a couple of the players that we've been linked with so far, there's let's get cracking straight away. So what I want to do is I want to share up. Oh, you guys probably can't see that very well at all now, can you? Because it's very small. But the first player is somebody that was linked out of nowhere in Turkish media. Could not tell you if this is true or not, but been linked out of nowhere in Turkish media was Yasin Özcan. As you can see there, according to the information obtained by Ajansaspor, Aston Villa and Kasimpasa have reached an agreement for the transfer of Yasin Özcan for €7 million plus bonuses. No idea in the wide earthly world whether this is going to happen or not. But what I do know is I have, you guys may notice, I work with a lot of people from Turkey. Half the population of the people I work with are based in Turkey. I've spoken to quite a few people about this guy, and they absolutely rave about him as being the second coming for their for the defense and their defensive unit within Turkey. I asked them about what the likelihood of the fee and all that being mooted, and they said that, look, it's not a very rich club. It's a club that would sell a player like this. So let's see what happens. We're obviously in the 1st of January at the moment. I don't know whether this is going to go through or not, but he's the first player that we're going to chat about. I saw this guy play against Ireland's under, which is where I see quite a lot of players. I prefer looking at Irish underage games than I do their senior team. I can't remember what underage team it was. It probably was under 21s, I would say. It's probably under 21s, and he played at left back, and I thought he was actually really, really good. It's a lot of you guys will know that I have a Y Scout account, and I spent quite a while watching this guy afterwards because hadn't seen an awful lot of him. He's played a lot of games for Kasimpasa as well. He's played quite a few games for them at the age of, I think he's 18. It very much smells of a Nedeljkovic signing for me. I don't think this guy's going to come in and be a massive part of the team. He's playing at left back. Every single person I spoke to in Turkey, and granted, these are only Turkish fans. Most of them fans of Fenerbahce, most of them fans of Besiktas. Every single one of the people I said to said he's only been played at left back because he's young. He will be a centre half. So, just in case the whole left back, while we signing a new left back thing comes up, the likelihood is that he is going to move into the centre half position in time to come. For someone who's so young, he's kind of like what I saw. Plus, what I was told was that he's incredibly confident. He's almost bordering on brash when he's on the field. And when I mean brash, I don't mean like somebody who turn you off, but I mean somebody who's like takes the bull by the horns. And there's quite a big cohort of young Turkish players that are like that are trying to play their way. So economically, Turkey at the moment isn't in a great spot. Inflation is high, and the game of football is seen, and once again, relaying what I was told, the game of football is seen as an incredible way to riches very early in life. A lot of things to do with Semih Kılıçkay, Arda Güler, Kenan Yildiz as well. Those three guys have really kind of opened the eyes of young players. I don't know, maybe people can't hear me or something like that. I don't know. I'm getting messages here from people. Anyway, there we go. Yeah. A lot of these young players are, and anyone who is really good at a young age is being very much urged to stick with football. And from that point of view, they're being urged to make a name for themselves. So what I mean by that is that I was talking to a guy I know, Serdar, and he told me that what you're seeing from a lot of these players is that they're not afraid. So before, there might have been a bit of a meekness, a bit of a coyness to kind of, okay, I'm not going to go up against, I'm not going to go head to head, essentially, or be aggressive in my tackle or whatever against an experienced player. I'm going to play him into the corner. I'm going to use my natural skills. I'm going to use maybe my youthful speed and all that to try and get the better of him from a technical point of view. But what we're seeing is these players are actually like being making a name for themselves from a physicality point of view, a grab the bull by the horns point of view, and the team on the field, because they don't want to get lost in the mill of Turkish football, which has a huge reputation of bringing in semi-washed up players for massive money and ousting a lot of younger Turkish players. So a lot of people who are 18, 19, 20 that are showing promise are now, the mindset is okay, I will get a move, is what they would have always known. I will get a move, maybe get a move to Germany, because there's a massive link between Germany and Turkey. A lot of people in Turkey speak German and so on and so forth. They get those moves and then they get a decent career. But a lot of young players are going, no, I need to hit the big time, and I think I can hit the big time. And the reason I'm going on this kind of tirade is because you're seeing it with the younger players that they have now, and the fact that Turkey is becoming a place whereby people will scout heavily because younger players want, and because of the population, and Turkey is like football is like a religion there, they want a way to capitalize on their talents. Not that they haven't always wanted to do that before, but I hope I've verbalized this the way that I possibly can. Obviously economically in Turkey at the moment it's difficult. These guys want to make it to the very, very top of the game, and they've got the talent to do so, and they're getting their leg on the rung of the ladder as quick as they possibly can now, as opposed to easing their way into the game previously, because they're fearful of the influx of older, semi-washed up players that do go to Turkey for a payday. Anyway, coming back to Yasin Özcan, he's seen as somebody who's incredibly versatile. If any of you guys have watched any of the YouTube videos of him, you'd have seen him like ping one or two goals in from long distance. That's not really his game. So don't get yourself too worked up on that one or too excited with regards to that. What his game is very much physical attributes at the moment. He's a fast player. He's very good at going to ground and tackling. He's quite strong. He's quite physical for such a young player. Genuinely, and I mean this in I'm not trying to just say this because Nedeljkovic is playing for Villa, but he's very much like how I saw Nedeljkovic playing but he plays on the left hand side. I still think Nedeljkovic could be a centre half. I still think that there's massive scope for him to be a centre half. This guy will definitely be a centre half in my view. I think he'll definitely be a centre half, and that's what everybody I've spoken to thinks as well with regards to this guy. That's what the view in Turkish football is. Whether we sign him or not, I don't know. Look, maybe things have changed now with Pau Torres being out injured for quite a long time. A lot of people are asking, might be asking as well about why another left-footed player. You're talking to the wrong person with regards to that. I don't buy into having to have a left footer and a right footer at centre half. I know a lot of people will. I think if you play your two best centre halves and if the two of them are left footed, well then so be it. But I'm not trying to convince anybody of that. People can think I'm wrong. And that's fine. It's not an argument I want to have with people. But whether we do sign this guy or not, I think there's a high likelihood that if this deal was as it's seen here to have been agreed for 7 million for this guy, now that Pau Torres is out, it might change our thinking a small little bit. I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know whether this one is a goer, but I would be extremely excited from a future-proofing point of view with regards to the fact that our two left-footed centre halves are, one of them is Mings. He's 30 years of age, if not 31, and Pau Torres is in his late 20s as well. So bringing in somebody like this at 18 years of age gives very, very good future-proofing to that position. Whether it is a case or not that he does get signed, I have absolutely no idea. Right, I am going to just add this up to the stage. So I wanted to just highlight one or two little things here with regards to him. So like at 18 years of age, he's 6'2", he's right-footed. Sorry, he's not right-footed. Is he left-footed? I may have made a mistake on that one and just not changed my my graphic. He's left-footed. Apologies, I just never changed that from that foot there. So he's left-footed. But you can see him there as like he's heavily played on that left-hand side, and he is playing as a left back for Kasımpaşa as well at the moment. When you look at his statistics at the moment, like as an 18-year-old, these are his statistics against Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres, Diego Carlos. I've left Mings off it because I think his sample set is too small currently at the moment. But, when we see him there, he's raw in certain areas. He's obviously been played out in the wing as well. You're going to see him intercept the balls more. Tackles are going to be less. His pass attempts, being a young player, only 18, I'm not disappointed that they're so low, and his pass success percentage as well. Once again, being a left-sided player, being further up the field as well, I think he's, you always see that their pass success metrics are slightly lower as well. But just thought it was interesting to see him in comparison to the other players that we have here within our team, and that's what it looks like. To be honest with you, as I say, it's very difficult for me to start talking about his abilities, his capabilities, while being able to highlight them on video. I've said it time and time again. I would love if I could find out and I've even emailed YouTube in the last 10 days as well, asking them how or what I can use if I wanted to do, what constitutes fair use and what constitutes me using it in a commentary position or an opinion-based position as opposed to copyright infringement. And I've got nothing back. They do not want to tell me what their definition of fair use is. So until I get that, unfortunately, I don't want to get the channel shut down, so I can't start using any of the footage that I have. So apologies about that. So look, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him. I think, realistically speaking, look, a lot of this originated in Turkey. We've seen transfers originate in Turkey, or transfer rumors originate in Turkey before. They've turned out to be a load of nonsense. So look, we'll see where this one goes, I suppose, really. And I do think that potentially, if this was something that was done previously, that maybe with Pau Torres being out for anywhere where you read, depending on what it is, what metatarsal it is, anywhere from 8 weeks to potentially 3 or 4 months, I think this has changed our view on where we need to go potentially with the centre half there as well. So, that is the first person. Yasin Özcan. Let me pop up the next person. Yeah, let's go. Let's go with. Oh no, one of my kids is waking up. Stay asleep for another while. I'm in the middle of a podcast, Dara. Boom, 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 boom. Let me share this one up here. So Donyell Malen, is the next person that is up from a transfer rumor point of view. Borussia Dortmund player and Dutch international. Look, this talks about here a fee of 25 to 30 million pounds that Dortmund would be willing to let him go for. It comes from Bild, which is, a reputable, I suppose, when I say reputable source, I suppose a popular source, a source of the fact that it's not a small agency. Again, I don't know how true this is. It would be the type of player that would be that Villa should be looking at to be able to cover multiple positions in that in the forward positions, should I say? He plays right wing. He can play over on the left side as well. He can play off the striker. He can play as a striker. I wouldn't be playing him too much as a striker, but he can play as a striker too. But let's take a little look at him here. Look, once again, let's leave the fees and everything like that. I'm not going to sit here and talk about how we're going to justify spending 25, 30 million pounds on a player. It's just, it sucks the fun out of all this kind of stuff. So, so please indulge me in that. We're not going to start talking about it. We're going to talk about what's being reported. And a lot of this stuff is probably going to be nonsense anyway. But it's a small bit of crack for the 1st of January. So I've done Donyell Malen, 5'10". He's right-footed. He's 25 going on 26 years of age. 26 years of age soon. He can play anywhere across that front three. Right wing, left wing, centre forward. And his current value there, as per transfer market, is 28 million. So biggest thing that this guy is going to bring you is we look at him here. I put him up against Leon Bailey and I put him up against Morgan Rogers. And the reason being is that I think that Unai Emery would be really interested in this player to try and get Rogers back out in the left wing and to get this guy in behind an Ollie Watkins or a John Duran. I think Unai Emery is looking for a right-sided Morgan Rogers. A right-footed Morgan Rogers, a right-sided Morgan Rogers, should I really say? Someone who can come in and play that role, so we don't have to push John McGinn out there when Bailey is injured or if Bailey's injured. I think that Philogene Bidace's time at the club may not be for long. If Fenerbahce are as interested as it seems, maybe we can recoup some money from him there. But look, as I say once again, the outgoings are something that we'll discuss about when there's more concrete rumors there. Looking at this guy's statistics in Malen, like he's very creative dominant. And what I mean by that is, goal creating actions are sky high. You can see him there, better than Morgan Rogers, better than Leon Bailey. Takes an awful lot of shots, gets an awful lot of shots on target. So these are a couple of areas I want to highlight here as well. This guy, when he gets the ball, his first instinct is, I need to get this as close to goal and I need to get my shot away as best I possibly can. Scored quite a lot of goals for PSV in the Eredivisie. Scored 13 goals, I think it was, last season for Dortmund. This year, he's been used a small bit more sparingly. And that's probably what has prompted the move for him here. One of the biggest things, the differences between Leon Bailey of 2023-24 and 2024-25 so far has been Bailey is missing a ton of goals. He's missing, what I mean by missing goals is not so much he's missing chances, but he's not taking chances. He seems like devoid of confidence. Like you could say quite a lot of our players are currently could be missing confidence, but he's not. He took a few shots against Brighton. He was much better against Brighton, don't get me wrong. Much better against Brighton. Took a few shots. A lot of them went over the bar and stuff like that. So he looked better against Brighton, but he has looked a shadow of the player he was last season. I think I read somewhere that this time last season he had seven goals got for Villa already. He's none got this season. He's not contributing assists either. He's been injured a bit as well. And when he's been injured, we've put McGinn out there on that right-hand side from time to time. And look, I think Unai Emery feels that it's beginning to hamstring us a small bit. He wants to bring somebody in there from that right hand side. How many times have we seen a bit of a disjointed right hand side from the point of view of them, the other team attacking our right hand side more often than not? Yes, I know that has a lot to do with right backs. We're not going to be discussing right backs here because we haven't been linked to right backs so far. I know and I agree with Dan Bardell. Kyle Walker-Peters is a home run, but we've not had any link to him, so we won't discuss him for the time being. Now, getting back to Donyell Malen, you know, the outlet, I spoke after the Brighton game and I said that, you know, Villa's creative ability against Leicester is going to be, it's going to be difficult. Like based on what we've seen over the last couple of games, it'll be difficult to watch because we won't have the ball carrying ability of a Morgan Rogers. What you do have with Donyell Malen is you do have somebody who can carry the ball. Carries the ball at a decent clip, but what you have is you have the creation aspect of him. The goal creating actions you can see there comes in at in the top 78 percentile, 0.64 per game. That's absolutely massive. I know his shot creating actions, they can be conflated a small little bit. The shot creating actions and goal creating actions can be conflated. You know, obviously the ones that hit the back of the net are the ones you want. So you want to have a similar amount there for sure, but he creates quality chances. Donyell Malen takes a lot of shots himself, but as I say, the big thing for me is shots on target. He's in the top 10 percentile for shots on target. How many times? We had 20 shots against Brighton, 4 of them were on target, if I remember rightly. 4 of them were on target. So, you know, you can take as many shots as you want, and they can be 15, 20 yards over the bar, and it's another stat that gets padded. But if they're not on target, then you're at nothing. Goals per shot for Donyell Malen, 0.21 as well, is a really, really healthy number as well. You know, so he's clinical when he gets the opportunities. He creates good chances, and I think that, you know, when we preface that against some of the numbers that maybe we've seen from our right hand side, whether it be Jaden Philogene, whether it be John McGinn when he's been out there, and certainly whether it's been Leon Bailey when he hasn't been the Leon Bailey of last year. I think more creation from that side of the field makes us less predictable. It also gives us that outlet and allows us to be more fluid in an attacking sense as well. So I can absolutely see this as being a goal. Now, I've also mentioned here as well that he can play centre forward. So I just wanted to show this here. This is FB charts, comes from FB Ref. This is just the three players, Malen, Bailey, and Rogers, plotted against each other under what statistics FB Ref think are more pertinent. Take of this what you will. I just thought it was interesting to see Morgan Rogers' statistics outside of take-ons are only so-so. But Donyell Malen then, you know, has better statistics with regards to carries into the penalty areas and progressive passes as well. So seems to be a bit more of a progressive player and getting that ball into the danger areas. I just thought it was a nice chart, so that's why I showed it up. I don't know how much mass I put in it, I'll be honest with you. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at at the three of them with regards to what they would look like as deep lying forwards. So somebody that plays behind an Ollie Watkins or John Duran, because we know Leon Bailey played that position at times last season. Yes, we had Bailey to go out on the right hand side. Maybe that's why we had Diaby to go out on the right hand side. Maybe that's why Bailey got more goals, more assists last season. I don't know, but he hasn't played in that role behind Ollie Watkins an awful lot this season, if at all. I would go so far as to say. We know Morgan Rogers has. And if you want to have that fluidity and that movement, I suppose, of being able to move players around, like we did with Diaby last year. Like, lest we forget, Diaby played in that role an awful lot. He played out on the right-hand side a bit as well. And we had that fluidity of moving the players around into those positions, keeping teams guessing. When we look at Malen, when he's played in that position, you know, when we look at his expected shots, his goals per shot, his shots on target, you know, his shots total, putting him into that more central area, from an attacking point of view and from where we probably want to get goals, maybe suits us a small bit better. He would offer a decent threat in there. It would allow us to put Rogers out on the left-hand side, maybe play Bailey on the right-hand side, play Malen behind Ollie Watkins or John Duran. It gives us maybe that small bit more balance. It allows us obviously also to put him out on that right-hand side. So the fluidity and the positional variance, I suppose, that this guy can give you is something that I think Unai Emery would be looking at and licking his lips if this is even true. with regards to the transfer. So yeah, I can definitely see where this player fits in. Dutch international, has experience playing in England before, came from the Arsenal academy. I'm sure Unai Emery, as I say this I'm just going to check up here. Was he with Arsenal when Unai Emery was with Arsenal? He was indeed. He was at Arsenal when Unai Emery was with Arsenal. So I'm sure Unai Emery knows him inside out. And he's actually got a great rapport and great friendship with Ian Maatsen as well. Former Dortmund player, played at Dortmund last year, and obviously have been at in the Dutch national team together. So look, food for thought. Of the two transfers we've talked about, I think this is definitely the more. I would probably I'm going to give this a 30% chance of happening. Who knows? It makes more sense from that point of view. Now let's talk about Randall Kolo Muani. This one came today from L'Equipe. First thing that I saw a lot of people saying was, "How the hell are we going to fit 3 forwards into our team when we can't fit 2?" Very, very fair criticism. Very, very fair criticism with regards to this one. Also, he's somebody who's made that big move. He was with Nantes to start his career. He scored quite, he scored some decent amount of goals. Then he goes to Eintracht Frankfurt. He played under Oliver Glasner, I think it was, and then he got double figures and got his big move to Paris Saint-Germain, got into the French team, obviously played in the World Cup, was a great super sub coming on in the World Cup, and, is a French international. Went to PSG, and PSG have not really played him as a striker since he's been there. A lot of the time he's been played as an inside forward. He's been played in that deep lying forward role that we just spoke about there with regards to where Morgan Rogers plays. He's played on the right-hand side. He's played on the left-hand side. So he's once again traversed across that front 4 position as well. But he's mainly seen as a striker. 6'2", very, very good in the air. Not brilliant at passing the ball, from a statistical point of view. But then again, he's not played a hell of a lot of football, but his numbers should be better playing with PSG in the league that they dominate as well. There's an awful lot with that. He's a good player. He's a really good player. I'm not turning my nose up at this guy at all. Absolutely not before you say it. I just think the transfer is a bit far-fetched, but let's see where he could possibly fit in, because I think based on what PSG's usage of him it has been, should I say, I think that he could fit in with Aston Villa. Look, he'd be a swing for the fences, I think. He has boom and bust capabilities for sure, and that sounds really silly to say of a French international, but he kind of does. Because I don't think he's starting leading the line for Aston Villa. I think he's coming into playing in those positions across the 3 behind the striker. And when we take a look at him, I suppose, in regards to what his numbers look like in comparison to Ollie Watkins and John Duran there. John Duran is in the orange, Ollie Watkins is in the blue, and there's Kolo Muani is in the green there. What you can see again, the shot creating actions, goal creating actions. His heat map there, you can see, is very much favoured towards the wings. So if you're thinking this guy's going to be a central striker, he's very much a movement player, going to play across that front line. Left side, right side, up top. I don't like this guy is. I think if he comes to Villa, he's going to play in those positions. He's not going to be a central striker. And it's a gamble. It's absolutely a gamble. But throughout the course of his career, even though he had been playing as a striker, he has been able to bring a lot of players into play. He has been like. You look at his passing stats there in the middle of the road. They're 68th percentile there, but they're not horrendous. He just doesn't. A lot of his pass completion percentage is down because he doesn't have an awful lot of passing attempts. He runs quite a lot with the ball at his feet, more than you would think. I watched a good bit of footage of him today, and that's what struck me, I suppose, more than. You watch him mostly playing with France. Haven't seen a whole pile of him. I hadn't seen, shall I say, before today, a whole pile of him playing with PSG. Most of the time I'd seen him play would have been with Eintracht Frankfurt. And he was a different player at Frankfurt. He was leading the line. Sometimes he was playing in a 2 with at times, and it was just a different setup for him. With PSG, he's not the main man. I don't know whether he needs to be the main man at the same time, but he's very much an afterthought. Very much an afterthought. And I think that's more so to do with Luis Enrique's setup at PSG, more so than anything else. His tools are definitely there, but he's 26 years of age. Just gone 26, but he's 26 years of age, and he's going to be coming to the Premier League. He's got the build, he's got the strength, he's got the ability to play in the Premier League. The gamble part for me here is you bring him into the team and you play him on that right-hand side, or you play him on that left-hand side, or you play him behind Watkins. Has he the body of work done through the course of his career outside of this year and last year with PSG, coming into a team that's expected to dominate in a league? Has he the body of work done to have proper learning of those positions? That's my thoughts. And it seems very arrogant almost and entitled to turn my nose up at a player who's a French international and a really, really good footballer. And I'm not turning my nose up at him. I think it's a genuine concern to have, because let's call a spade a shovel here. When Aston Villa take gambles on players outside of Morgan Rogers, I suppose, really, who people maybe didn't think was able to do what he's been shown to do in the Premier League, specifically on big money signings, when we take gambles on those, can we make this guy into this player that we need him to be within the team? I would ask anybody there, could you name 5 players over the last 15 years that Aston Villa have done that with, or 20 years that Aston Villa have done that? Now, I know that this isn't your father's Aston Villa football team at the moment, that we are, Unai Emery is a very, very good manager, and we have used players in different ways and gotten some good performances, really good performances from them. Look, I think it's a genuine question to ask, because I do not see him coming in here as a central striker. The only way I see him coming in here as a central, well, first of all, I think it's a nonsense. I think it's a bullshit transfer rumor. I don't think it's happening, is number one. But if it was to happen and we play the fantasy world of it, the only way I see this is if PSG are buttering up to buy John Duran for 100 million or something along those lines. And that's something I'm not ready to think about at this moment in time. Not ready to think about it. Certainly not. I know you guys have tons of comments in there. I'm going to look at them in a moment. I just don't want to lose my train of thought with regards to the players at the minute. So what we can see here is, look, another thing that kind of, I won't say worries me about him, because it's not a worrying statistic. Because look, I suppose he started 118 games. He scored 45 goals. He's 25 assists. So he's got a decent return from those numbers. So it's definitely he's got the numbers behind him. But the only concern is, coming to the Premier League, I've seen enough of Aston Villa that when we try to get these players in, specifically flair players that maybe haven't hit the heights of the team that were bossing their own league, and then when they're expected to come to Villa and be a boss there, I suppose I've got Coutinho-itis. That's what I'm going to say. I've got Coutinho-itis, and I know it was injuries that did him in. But there's been more players than that, I think, that we've signed. I'll let you guys talk about it till the cows come home, but fine player, absolutely brilliant player. It would get me excited if we signed him, but I would have that reticence in the back of my mind of past being prologue, which I know I always say isn't the case. So I would like to know. I would love to hear I would love to hear proper questions being asked of what is his role in this team now that you have signed him on the day that he is signed, because I would be very interested in that. Now, sorry, yes, I had one more slide there as well. So yeah, so this is similar with regards to Ollie Watkins and John Duran. This is what he would look like in comparison to the two boys we have there already, Morgan Rogers, Leon Bailey. So he's obviously the green line there. He actually stacks up in a pretty good comparison to Morgan Rogers or Leon Bailey as well. And now, sorry, the numbers I'm showing here are Leon Bailey of last year as well, because I think that that's a fair reflection of what Unai Emery is looking to achieve here. So apologies, I meant to say that earlier on. They're Leon Bailey's numbers of last year, and Morgan Rogers' numbers of this year. So I think it's just a fair apples to apples comparison because what we're looking for. So even when we look at it here, Kolo Muani, he stacks up in a lot of areas here with regards to, his pass success rate, his dribble success rate, his shots on target rate, his goal creating actions, stacks up with regards to the guys, and he's not a full-time wide player. So I think that's interesting to see as well. But my big thing is he's playing for a team that is dominant in their league. And that's always going to be the little bit of the devil on my shoulder, as opposed to the normal angel that I have. The players can transfer their skills to the league. Now, I did say as well, guys, that I have somebody that I've been looking at. I'm not sure was he linked with Aston Villa. Maybe he was. But there's somebody I've been looking at that I would definitely take a look at if I was Unai Emery or Monchi. I don't know what he would cost. I would say so. He plays with PSV Eindhoven. He's I'll bring him up here. His name is Malik Tillman. A lot of you guys might be familiar with Malik Tillman previously. He's a young player. Had a stint at Rangers. And was quite successful with Rangers. But he was very young. When he played there. He played at Rangers in 22-23. I think he scored, he got into double digits anyway for Rangers, for sure. But he was only 19 years of age, 19-20 at that stage. He's only 22 years of age now. Former Bayern Munich player, has 4 or 5 caps for Bayern Munich, or caps appearances for Bayern Munich at the age of 18 as well. Was born in Germany, naturalized, but he was born to US parents. His brother, I think, Timothy Tillman. I think he's still playing with was it Greta Furt? I think he's still playing with them as well. But anyway, Malik Tillman is now playing with PSV Eindhoven. He only signed, so he'd been on loan with PSV Eindhoven he was on loan last year. He only signed with them in the summer of this year, just gone. And last year was his real, what I would say, coming out year for PSV at 21 years of age. They gave him the keys to play in a lot of different positions. He played central midfield. He plays central midfield now. He's probably going to be in the Eredivisie Team of the Year playing in central midfield position. He's played wide right. He's played wide left and wide midfielder roles. He's played in attacking midfielder roles left and right. He's played through the centre. Positional variance of this guy is crazy good. And he's very productive within the Eredivisie. Again, let me preface this. The Eredivisie has a history of very, very good players coming from the Eredivisie and coming into the Premier League and not hitting the heights. I completely understand that. This guy has obviously played in British football before for Rangers, playing in a 2-horse race. And I can't remember, did they win it in 2022, 2023? I don't think they did, Rangers, back then. But he looked very, very good for Rangers during that period of time too. And his progression arc from 1920 or 2021, 22 is high. It's progressive. He's gotten better. Like he's added extra strings to his bow is what I would say. Like, this guy can tackle in midfield. This guy can do John McGinn things in midfield and turn around and do Yuri Tielemans things in midfield in the Eredivisie. And then other times he can do Morgan Rogers things in midfield when he's carrying the ball forward and pings one in the top corner. I really, really like him. He's very interesting. Price point would be the thing I would like to know about somebody like this. If you could get him for, say, 20 million, I think he's from his positional versatility. I think it'd be worth it. He was signed for 12 million, if I'm not mistaken, and Bayern have an exercise clause of about 35 million. That's the sticking point with somebody like Malik Tillman. From everywhere I've read, Bayern Munich have a buyback clause in him of 35 million. Now, I don't know what happens there. Does that mean that we would have to pay 35 million for him? I don't know. But if PSV wanted to make a quick turnaround on him, and PSV are open to selling players, They're open to selling players for sure. Every Dutch team are open to selling players currently. It would be interesting to see what the situation is. Let's take a look at some of his numbers. His numbers are really good. If you put him up here in that left wing, in the wide positions here, his numbers, albeit in the Eredivisie, but he has played a lot in Europe as well, come out really, really good. Really good. You're talking about his on-target percentage. I'm heavily focused on people who can get their shots on target currently, because we don't do that enough. And I want players that we bring in, I want them to be creative, and I want them to be able to get their shots on target. He's 6'2". He wins balls in the air. We crossed balls against Brighton to Leon Bailey, who I've never seen win a header. If you have someone like a Malik Tillman coming in off that right hand side, and it goes again, 6'2". Morgan Rogers is up there in the top six. In the he's over 6 foot, 6'2", 6'3" as well. I think Unai wants to replicate Morgan Rogers on the right hand side, or have somebody else who can play through the middle. And looking at this guy's heat map here, you can absolutely see that he can do that. Yes, it's a bit favoured to the left hand side, but this guy is a really, really good player. Really good player. I like what I see from him. I really do. I like his tools. I like his ability. There's a certain moxie about him. You know, the fact I said that he can run around the field like John McGinn and get stuck in. He's going to win. He's going to be in the Eredivisie Team of the Year, probably playing as a deep lying midfielder or as an 8. But this guy is so much more to his game. PSV can essentially put him anywhere. He's a Swiss Army knife for PSV at the moment. They can put him anywhere across midfield or in those attacking positions behind the striker, and he's able to perform to 7, 8 out of 10 in the Eredivisie every single week at 22 years of age. And that's exciting. That to me is what really kind of it kind of gets me thinking about him. Gets me wanting him to succeed, or it's really drawing me towards a player like this. His skill set, like you can see there, goals, assists, he's had them. Now I know some of that time was playing up north in Rangers. I'm actually going to Google it there. I think he had 10 goals in 28 games for Rangers. He scored 16 goals in 16 league goals in 45 league appearances for PSV currently at the moment. I just really like him. I like I like the way he plays the game. He's not going to set any fans' ears alight when they hear if they heard we signed him. He would probably have a lot more fans questioning why we're signing people from the Eredivisie than not. But if you watch him, he is absolutely fire and brimstone. He's got that kind of American way about him, if you know what I mean. He's very athletic. A lot of players will probably look at him and go, Weston McKennie was very athletic. You know, Tyler Adams, very athletic. Brennan Aronson for Leeds, very athletic. Weston McKennie never came to the Premier League. It feels like he did. It feels like he's played 4 years for Villa in the Premier League. The amount of times we've been linked with him. And obviously he was there with was it Leeds as well. But you know, all those players who came and they never kind of got their feet under the table. This fella's a bit different. He's a lot more creative, I think, than those guys. Now, the proof would be in the pudding if he was to sign for a Premier League team. But the guy has been brought up in German football and brought up with Bayern. He was played with Gert Fruit up until 2015, and then he played with Bayern Munich up until 2022, and then he was loaned out to Rangers, and then he was loaned out to PSV. So he's got quite a good footballing background to him. I like him. I don't think Villa are going to sign him. I don't know if we've ever been linked to him or anything like that. But the type of player, the industrious nature of him, the creativity that he has, the ability he has in the ball, he's very, very good with the ball at his feet. He's very good at, you can see that passes completed, shot creating actions, goal creating actions. Look, the ball recoveries here. He's as complete a midfielder that can play across the lines as you possibly want. And you can play him out wide as well as that wide midfielder instead of a Leon Bailey. He would be better at that role than John McGinn would be. And he would give you something like a Morgan Rogers. He's not lightning quick, but he can carry the ball. And that's what I want from that. And I think that's what Unai Emery wants. Unai Emery wants positional versatility. He also wants people who are of the the Morgan Rogers build. You know, they can be creators, and we're not going to see Morgan Rogers against Leicester, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Unai Emery does there, because like, who's going to carry that ball? I think he understands that, and I think he wants players like that. That's why we're linked with the likes of Donyell Malen. That's why I'm bringing up the name here of Malik Tillman. That's why potentially you could look at what Kolo Muani has been at PSG might be something that Unai Emery sees that he could build on for Aston Villa as well. And also, it could be the fact that all these transfer rumours are absolute nonsense as well. But it's nice and good crack on the 1st of January to talk about this stuff. And football doesn't have to be about absolutes, as we know. Football is all about the thrill of following your team and wanting success for your team. And what better way to get success than having some really interesting rumours and really interesting signings? So as I say, look, they're just a couple of names that I wanted to throw up to you guys there. I'm going to come to some of your comments before I go. A lot of people wishing you a happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you guys as well. I really appreciate everything that you guys do for the podcast. I really do. I say that quite a lot, but I really do. It means an awful lot. You guys tuning in, and there's nearly 800 people here watching this. So I do thank you for that. On the 1st of January, and Luke Littler is firing darts at the moment as well, and he's one leg away from beating Nathan Aspinall. So I do appreciate everybody. I'm going to take down this here. So Villa, James says, Neil, I've heard it's a done deal, but he's going back out on loan to his new club that he's at now, and that's, I presume that's to do with Ozcan. Yeah, I would imagine that's, like, as I say, the similarities, there's no coincidence, I think, that the similarities between himself and Nedeljkovic are there. And we did this with Nedeljkovic last year, and I would imagine we will do that with this guy again. Then again, could this be scuppered now with the fact that we need another centre half if Pau Torres is going to be over anywhere between 2 and 4 months? If depending on which metatarsal, I'll let Aston Villa update us on that one for sure. Chip says Malen from Dortmund would be a good signing, would add a bit of pace to the team. Absolutely would add a bit of pace to the team. Absolutely, for sure. Marine Boy says surely a right back is a must. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't been linked to any right backs yet, but if we are, we will discuss them. I think there is I think a right back is needed, yeah, for sure. Or you just play Nedeljkovic and you just bite the bullet from that point of view. Who else are we here? Rachel is saying we need some aggressive defenders. Yes, and I think we need space stuffers more so than we need aggressive defenders. But I'd like to do a whole podcast on that if I could. Just my views on the type of defender, because I've often kind of sat here and talked about what I don't like about Diego Carlos, and there are some things I do like about him, but I've never actually said what I do like about centre halves and what I would like my centre halves to do. And their position. So maybe there's a podcast on that, but I agree with the aggressiveness. I don't want players kicking people up in the air from that point of view, if that makes sense. Where else are we? Marine Boy again says, don't want Chukwuemeka or Douglas Luiz back. Never go back. I wouldn't take Chucky back, but I don't think we need Douglas Luiz. Well, we do need him, but I don't think we need him unless we're going to sell somebody in midfield, and I just think it would be an embarrassment of riches to have there as well. Where else are we? People saying going after young Dibbling from Saints. You're not going to see any pushback from me on that one. Absolutely, why not? Why not go for Tyler Dibbling? He's one of the best ball carriers, young ball carriers, probably in the whole of the country at the moment. I don't think he is even giving a side-eye glance at Aston Villa at the moment. I don't know why. He just seems like a fellow who will stay at Southampton, even if they go down for another year. And I don't know why. I just close my eyes and I see him in a Man United jersey. For all his sins, I don't think that would be what he would want. Andy Badger asked, did Louis Barry pick up an injury? Yes. So Louis Barry picked up a slight hamstring injury against Rotherham. That's why he didn't play against Blues today. So a slight hamstring injury. He's going to come back. There's talks, obviously, that he's going to be sold. The Villa want to sell him to a championship team. There was also talks as well. There was also Twitter rumors today, not from people, not from just fans or whatever like that, but it was from sources, let's say. I can't remember who it was, but it was reporters saying that Villa want somewhere between 10 and 12 million for him, for Louis Barry. If you can get that for Aaron Ramsey, if you can get that for what do we got 8 or 9 for Philogene Biles, if you can get it for Cameron Archer, why not? Like, I know it's only been League One standard he's been scoring at, but he's been scoring goals for fun. Let's see if we can wheel and deal with regards to that one. Add in a buyback clause. Let's see what happens there. I'm not married to any outcome with regards to Louis Barry. I'd have look, if the club think highly enough of him, fucking stick him on the bench for Aston Villa. If the club see him as a PSR sale and we've got a buyback, well then do that too. I think if anything taught us from June to August this year taught us that do not get too attached to young players in our young system if they're not on the bench already, because they probably will be used from a PSR point of view until we build our revenues, because we have built our costs and now we're building our revenues to catch up. Where else are we? Sorry, there. Apparently close to Sylvia. I have no idea what this means. Ethan, if you're there, apparently close to Sylvia, I don't know what that means, but elaborate, because that was a while ago. It could have been any one of the players I was talking about with regards to that. Ash Villa says that Malen is the second coming of R9. No, I don't think he's the second coming of R9. Probably the only reason that I would think that is because they both have baldy domes. But apart from that, I don't think he's the second coming of R9. But he's very good at carrying the ball, that's for sure. And the Badger saying Dobbin is coming back. Yeah, he's going back on loan to another championship team. West Brom did not suit him, and I think that's he would probably everybody could admit that as well. People talking about Frimpong as well. Frimpong ain't coming anywhere near Aston Villa. I don't think I think he'd be silly to leave Leverkusen currently, and the only place he's going is he just has, again, Dutch right back. He has Barcelona written all over him. If Barcelona can ever get money, can ever get permission to sign players. Danny Olmo, I was tempted to have in this as well today. I just think it's just too easy. 6-month loan deal or something like that for him. Has a massive injury history, but a fantastic player, and would be somebody that you would absolutely bite Barcelona's hands off to have him if you could get him. But we've not been linked with him as well. Gig Sharma says Joel Ordonez, 20-year-old centre-back from Club Brugge, has been watched by Villa South. Yeah, absolutely. He played against us. We were actually watching him. I know we were watching him before that as well. We were watching him last year as well. And he's Colombian centre. Is he Colombian or Venezuelan? I'm getting him mixed up probably with somebody else with regards to nationalities. But yeah, somebody who's shown an awful lot. And against us, he was really, really good too. Where else are we? A lot of people saying no thanks to Kolo Muani. Saying a bit downgrade on Diaby. Sai is saying that he'd rather Rashford than Kolo Muani, and he doesn't want him either. Where else are we? Oh, Ashville is saying Antonio Silva, as in the Benfica centre half. When did this come out? The report saying we're close to securing the signing of Antonio Silva from Benfica and loan with an option to buy 45 million. That would be a barn stopper. Barn stopper. I don't even know. First of all, I said we would asses roar earlier on. But yeah. I've not seen this. I've not seen this report. I've certainly not seen it in the last hour since I've been doing this podcast. But if there's any truth in that, for 45 loan with an option to buy for 45 million, that's some really good business, because he's a really, really good defender, and he's young, and he's absolutely massively sought after all over Europe. That would be a coup. It's the first I've heard of it. Guys, so I won't go into it too much, but yeah, I'm going to be scouring the internet for that afterwards. That That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be definitely something that we could, if the club could pull that one off, that would be good for sure. But haven't seen anything on it, so I won't talk too much more about it until I do see something. I might come back with a standalone podcast on him if that does turn out to be true. I'll be beginning to ramble now. I'm on for 55 minutes. It's New Year's Day. It's 10:30. I just wanted to come on and chat about the transfer side of things. I'm going to be doing way more of these. I'm going to try. I'm not going to say I'm going to do a podcast every day during the month of January, but I'm going to try and get more podcasts out. I'm beginning to feel like I'm in Groundhog Day talking, not because of Villa's performance or anything like that, but because of the way we set up the team, because of the way that the team line up and stuff like that. It's an interesting, like when we do team sheet tantrums, when we do post-match podcasts, when we do pre-match podcasts and stuff like that, I begin to feel like I'm repeating myself. If not on a weekly basis, definitely I'm saying stuff I said 2 weeks before, because lots of things are similar. We're playing to a similar structure, and Unai, we don't tend to stray too much from that. So I'm not going to say I'm getting bored about talking about Aston Villa, but I feel like that some of the pre-match podcasts and stuff like that are not as interesting as I would like them to be, because it's difficult to make them interesting. So I want to do more of these transfer stuff. I want to do more talking about players, the wild and wonderful transfer rumors that do come up. As I said, 90% of those rumors are nonsense, but it's interesting to talk about them, see what I can fit in. So if you do like these, catch you again over the course of this month as well. But I'm going to leave everybody go on that note, just shy of the hour mark. Thanks a million for all your comments and queries. I didn't get to all of them there. If there is anything in that Antonio Silva stuff there from Benfica, that is really interesting. I will be going away to look at that now, because I've got nothing to do tomorrow, and yeah, I could be staying up late tonight if that is the case, doing some pieces on him. But thanks a million, everybody, for your comments, queries, and for always watching. I wish you all an absolutely fantastic 2025 outside of Aston Villa. I wish your personal lives give you everything that you want over the course of this year. I hope you have health, happiness, and good fortune, and let this be the first day of the rest of your lives. And I hope that 2025 brings you everything that you want in a Villa sense as well. So back again probably tomorrow, I'd say, with something else. If not, I'll definitely be back the day after with one of those previews that I just said there are becoming a bit tedious to do at the moment. But we will be chatting to you very, very soon. Mind yourselves, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.